major character who's Native American on screen is very unusual. What sort of, was there interaction between you as an actor and you as a writer in terms of, how that character should be portrayed and what sort of things you would say?
Well, it's really interesting. I'm finding out now that they had a lot of back and forth with the censors, I guess, about what I could do and what I couldn't do. And basically, you told them I could do whatever I wanted to do. That's the way I heard it.
That seemed the best way forward.
Even to this day, being a native actor, there's always, I'm basically a comedic actor, and they're always afraid that we're going to offend somebody, They never bother to ask us,
Yeah, I don't remember it being discussed a great deal. I mean, I think that it was, particularly in that context, everything was so heightened or strange or otherworldly anyway, that you weren't really worrying about how it kind of conformed with reality or what someone's idea of reality was. And it was, I always thought it was sort of normal to an absurd degree. That was sort of how the show worked at its best. And so even that notion of the Native American character, I think it was, you kind of would write the scenes and you would have that in mind and you think about it. And sometimes it locked into the mythology of the town and the place. But it wasn't something, there was never really a sort of plan in place or something like that. It was really something that we kind of improvised as we went along.
What was so interesting about this character is he started to go, he actually kind of became the soul of this whole entire, he was kind of the most grounded of all these people, and it was interesting to see, the growth of this character.
I remember being out on location when you all were looking for Jacques Renault's cabin, and there was a moment where you did something that was totally not planned, where there was like a piece of grass pointed in one direction, and everyone was following you, and you looked at the grass and you pointed ahead, and no one laughed at all when we were shooting, but afterwards I remember rolling on the ground, laughing hysterically that you had just done this, and obviously that was the way to go, to Jacques Renault's cabin.
There's an interesting scene we did where actually, evil was going to come out of Leland, and we were all in there, and then somebody suggested somebody would go for help, and I went, I'll go, because as a traditional person, even though this is acting, I did not want to be in there when they call them those kind of spirits. I was very glad not to be in there. About Twin Peaks as an artist, I kind of forgot all of this, and lately it's been coming back up, and I've been watching it with my wife, and I realized that Twin Peaks changed the way that people process television. There's been changes before in subject matter and format, but not in the physical way that people actually absorb this art form. And that's why I think so many young people are fascinated by it, because they're actually getting a chance to get the whole experience when you watch it, online. So it's I live in the Bay Area, in Berkeley area, and young kids will be following us. We'll go to the movies, and my wife goes, "Those kids are following you." And I go, "Can I help you?" And they go, "Are you Deputy Hawk?" And I went, "Uh-huh." And they go, "Cool."
Well, I feel like Twin Peaks in some way was the beginning of cable TV.
Oh yeah, there would be a lot of stuff that's on now without Twin Peaks opening up that door for that process.
Even though it was on ABC, which is shocking to me.
Yeah.
Well, the David Duchovny character dressed, as Denise, dressed as a woman. Having watched it recently to prepare for this, it's amazing to see so much of those kinds of things that didn't exist on television 25 years ago. Or I think Alex mentioned, or somebody tonight said something about Al Strobel, the one-armed man, and them not wanting to see it. There was a scene when we had him without a shirt or with a t-shirt and not wanting to see his body, or Lucy being pregnant with whose baby, and there were a lot of things that Twin Peaks did that really was really ahead of its time, and I think
visual
that's
storytelling.
Oh my God, definitely
Amazing music.
and scary. Yeah, it really drew me in. Having not seen it in all these years, and to watch it again 25 years later, it really really proud of the work that I did and that we did as a collaboration, because it really truly was that a collaboration.
How long were the scripts? Because I know now I'll get a script for something that's like, I just directed something with Aaron Sorkin, and the script was 83 pages.
Yeah, our scripts were 39.
That's what I remember. I remember
Because
they
things
were
sort of
under
moved
40.
slowly, and yeah,
Yes.
they tended to be about 39.
And it was visual. So you would make room for it being visual storytelling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you know.
timing was so important, and we were so careful with the post-production to make sure that every moment had its place and its time, and it was so important, the pacing of each scene, the music, the sound, how it was affecting everything, and the mood. It was that, I think, was really revolutionary too for television at the time.
And an ensemble effort. Everyone knew that we were doing something special. It was just to joy, no matter how much or how little you worked. We knew that we were doing some groundbreaking art.
I have to say, when the first season, the first 7, I wondered if they would ever show it. I mean, it was an amazing process being part of it because directors were in really early. I mean, I remember coming in, like, I did show 5. I think I was there from the beginning, you know, just kind of hanging around. But I was wondering if they would ever actually air it. Like, I can't imagine what the network notes were on scripts. Harley, were there network notes?
They didn't give, no, they gave up. They really, I mean, having gone through, I'm sure you have too, that process where now the amount of notes you get
Didn't
is
it?
so scary.
Yeah.
But then I think ABC, to their credit, just went, okay, we don't know what to do.
We have no idea.
So we're not really going to give notes, and Mark and David wouldn't do them anyway. So there really wasn't a notes process in place. I mean, you were, in that sense, we were just out in this kind of big warehouse out in Van Nuys. Because we usually, I think we have 7-day shoots, maybe 1 day out at the most.
Yeah.
So it was really like Twin Peaks land. And you would walk from set to set, and our offices were above that. So you could walk down to the sets, and suddenly you're in this insane world. But it was, you were really kind of closed in. It was kind of, you were sort of hermetically sealed from reality because there were no network notes. And by the way, I mean, there was really no internet, no bloggers, no nothing. I mean, it was like, so it was a completely different sort of experience given the landscape of what little cable there was. It was really about network television then. It was, I remember when we watched the pilot at my house once, and I had a lot of friends who were writers on LA Law and shows like that. And they came in there and they all watched, and I remember seeing the looks on their faces after they saw the pilot. It was a combination of, what the fuck was that? And then there was a sort of anger, like, and I couldn't figure out the anger part, but it was sort of like, why aren't we doing that? You know, and it was so singular that, I don't know, that it just, and that's probably why it didn't last. You know, because there was no reference point for it. There was nothing like it. And so we just kind of rode through it. And I've had experiences since where a television show usually takes, it can take 5 to 7 seasons to kind of deconstruct. Certain things come into play and it gets more difficult. We did all that in like 18 months. It was like boom, right through. You know, it was a fascinating experience. And you know, and again, unlike anything I've ever done.
But didn't we did the first 7 complete
Yeah.
before it aired, right?
Yes.
So nobody had any idea if there would be a response. You know,
Yeah,
it
they're
was
just
just,
spring.
we were in a little tiny world in Van Nuys. It felt so insular.
It felt
Yeah.
so good for an actor.
It was
felt
great.
so amazing. It was like being in a play, being on stage, you know, seeing the same people all the time. And I loved that feeling. And a few things I wanted to say is, number one, I think the second season, I don't know if it happened in the first, but we weren't allowed to see the script. Remember that? We had to trash the script, and then you weren't allowed to go to the trash and look for the script.
There was the
Remember
fear
that?
that people would get to the scripts.
Oh.
Yeah, because once it became popular, people wanted to know what was going to happen, so we weren't allowed to have the whole script. That's what I remember in the second season, towards the second season. But 2 things I remember with Sarah. One was she put me in a coat in one of the shows. I mean, I could just cry. It was my favorite scene. I had so many favorite scenes in Twin Peaks, but it was one of my favorite scenes. You put me in a coat. We were outside at a gas station, me and Ed, trying to decide, I don't know if you remember this scene at all, but trying to know what to do about our relationship, whether we should break up. Was it you?
In the gas station.
In the gas station.
In
It was one of my
Angeles
favorite
Crest.
scenes I have
I
ever
love
done
that
in my
scene.
life.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. Listen, for a lot. But I remember in that coat, the way I felt in that coat, being able to just sort of, this is me, this is Norma, this is my simplicity, but it's also covering, but it's also you have my heart.
Yeah.
that. So if I need to cover myself because I'm being hurt now because I really want to be with Ed and we're not sure we can make it, I have this incredible coat. And I'm sorry I forgot it was you, Leslie, because actually you were our best director. And may I say about Leslie also, there weren't a lot of female directors. I just want to
There's
give
still
a
a
shout
lot.
out to Leslie. You know, we all looked at her like,